Welcome back. A young IAS officer from Maharashtra, once seen as a promising officer, has found herself in the spotlight for all the wrong reasons. An RTI query has blown the lid off potentially a massive scandal involving this lady Puja Khedkar. Not only does she face allegations of exceeding her authority, but also of forging documents to be eligible for the UPSC exam to begin with. These allegations have ensured that this probationary officer was transferred from Pune to Washim. Concerns of misuse of power were formally communicated to the state chief secretary by the Pune collector. But despite having grave allegations against her, Puja Khedkar assumed the role of assistant collector, and now questions are being asked if there has been sufficient action against her. Now, after joining as a probationary officer in Pune, Khedkar allegedly made several demands. Local authorities voiced concerns over these special privileges that she was asking for. This includes accusations that she improperly utilized her personal Audi car equipped with VIP registration. A vehicle marked Maharashtra government raised eyebrows about its legitimacy under official regulations. Allegations have emerged of a father who was also in the service having facilitated emergency lights or the lal batti on her personal vehicle. Puja Khedkar clinched the 841st rank in UPSC examinations, but it is alleged that she submitted fake certificates to clear her exams, including using the non-creamy layer in the OBC category. She allegedly also submitted fake disability certificates. What has come under question is her OBC status, particularly despite being the daughter of a senior government official who has amassed large amounts of wealth. Her father, Dilip Khedkar, who contested the recent Lok Sabha election, declared the extent of their income and properties. Let me just break down what we know so far. Puja's own declared assets are 17 crore rupees. Her father's declared assets are 40 crore rupees. The land owned by parents is about 110 acres of agricultural land. Property owned by the family includes 6 shops, 7 flats and 4 cars. And other income also includes partnerships in 2 private limited companies. Now, all of them are not taken into account when the creamy layer is calculated for children of those already in service. But certain questions are being asked if she deserved the non-creamy layer distinction. This case has raised some bigger questions now. Is there a robust system to cross-check disability certificates, which is one of the biggest charges against this probationary officer? Is creamy layer distinction not being applied, or do we need changes in that category? Easy certificates or certificates for UPSC, which is the premier agency and premier body to select officials for India. With that, the big question we ask is, how many more could be hoodwinking the system? Has the Puja case blown the lid off what could be a larger scam? Coming up with our guests.
ऑफिसर्स का केबिन मांगा जो कि ट्रेनिंग को नहीं मिलता है। उन्होंने खुद की ऑडी जाकर वहाँ लेकर गई। उन्होंने अपनी गाड़ी पर रेड बीकन लगाया, रेड लैंप लगाया। तहसीलदार ने साफ साफ लिखा कि उनके और उनके पिताजी ने मुझे ऑफिस में आकर धमकी दी।
I'm not authorized to speak anything right now, so I cannot comment on this.
मैम आज अपन ज्वाइन करना।
Oh, I'm very happy to join in Washim district, and I'm looking forward to working in it.
झूठे सर्टिफिकेट जांच होनी चाहिए थी। एक IAS का सिलेक्शन होता है UPSC में, तो ये बहुत सारी जांचें बहुत एकदम कड़क होती है। हम भी मांग करते हैं कि इसकी इंक्वायरी होनी चाहिए।
Let's go across to our guest joining us. Remember, this has become a big political storm in the case in the state as well. Krishna Hegde, spokesperson of the Shiv Sena Shinde faction. Pushparaj Deshpande from the Congress Party joining us on the show. Satya Mule is an advocate. I'll also be joined with Yashovardhan Azad, who's a former IPS officer. I want to begin with Krishna Hegde. The case that has come to light is pretty shocking. And the allegation is that actually there's been a little bit of lethargy in the system to crack down on the alleged forgery and fakery. Somebody making demands that their position doesn't allow is a disciplinary action that you can take. But what else has come into light in this case is the larger issue, Mr. Hegde.
Shivani, you're right about this regarding Puja Khedkar. There are allegations about her not following a proper decorum or, a way of conducting herself when she is taking over as a probationary trainee IAS officer. And the Chief Secretary, Sujata Shaunik, who's our First Lady Chief Secretary in Maharashtra, has said that she has been routinely and administratively transferred to Washim. And Puja has now taken charge there. However, like what you said is some of the serious matters. I think the Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration, they are inquiring into her certificates. The Pune Police Commissioner has already sent his team to inquire how, a red beacon was fitted on to a private car, which was the Audi A4. But we don't want to get into the thing. It's too early to say something like this. Right now, we know that she has been transferred to Washim and she has taken charge of the district, and she says that she is happy to work there. However, I also understand that the PMO has also asked for a report in the matter. And
Is there
I'm sure.
information to that regard with you?
No, I read about it in one of the
Yeah.
press briefings, and that is what I have heard. I don't know whether it's true or not. But once the administrative services, they also ask for the report. If PMO is also asking for a report, or if anything comes out of it, then I think Puja will have to face the music. But I'm sure that right now it's too early to say anything. But I would say that whichever IAS officer or probationary officer who is young and now just started serving in the administration has to, understand a proper protocol, understand a proper decorum, and interference from parents who are earlier in the civil services to provide better facilities for the children. I think this should be thoroughly avoided.
Yeah, the opposition has asked for a thorough inquiry. That seems to be in place, Mr. Deshpande. What does the Congress or the opposition's demand at this stage? Why are you not happy with the action that has been taken so far or the inquiry that has been initiated?
Hi, Shivani ji, and thank you for having me on your show. Firstly, I want to start by congratulating CNN for not caricaturing this isolated case of malfeasance to vilify India's social justice paradigm, as some other channels have done. It is unfortunate that some in the media are scraping the bottom of the barrel for quick TRPs. So I'm very glad that CNN is sticking to the point. Firstly, assuming the information that is publicly available is accurate, as the leader of opposition, Vadetivar has said, the probationary officer in question is clearly in violation of the civil service conduct rules. Rule 15 prohibits private trade. Rule 16 prohibits private investments. There are other rules regarding personal conduct and civil service examination rules with regard to verification of the documents that this officer may have violated and hence should be punished accordingly. That's a larger structural issue that the bureaucracy will take care of in the due course of this thing. But there are two structural issues here which I want to talk to. One relates to the UPSC's integrity itself. Now, firstly, the UPSC has failed in cross-checking her disability certificate when she first cleared the Sports Authority of India. Earlier, she was in the Sports Authority of India, and then she changed the disability certificate from what she had shown in the Sports Authority and what she showed in the UPSC. Now, either there is complete failure of Digital India because one government department can't check the documents of a sitting government officer from another department. Either it's that, or there is a malfeasance in forging documents. Someone has clearly helped her, and in which case there is corruption, which means that Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas is a failure. But even more problematically, is UPSC, the national UPSC, the central UPSC, is that body's integrity above board? I ask this question with care because numerous reports, most notably a News Laundry report, shows the UPSC chairperson's proximity to the PM, which goes back to the time when he wrote a book. I think it's called In Search of a Third Space, which posed an alternative narrative after 2002. Similarly, another UPSC member was the chief electoral officer in Gujarat. Another member, current sitting member, was the chairperson of the Gujarat Public Service Commission.
What's the allegation here?
Here the allegation is that personal loyalty over merit and capability seems to be the criteria for appointments of the UPSC. This clearly has impacted competence and professionalism in the UPSC.
Okay, you said that you had a second point. Very quickly, let's get to that.
The second point is it's a side note, but interestingly, the BJP's fingerprints are all over this case. The lawyer who represented Dr. Puja Khedkar in a case to review her prelims OMR sheet was none other than J. Sai Deepak. The case, if anyone's interested, is Puja Khedkar versus UPSC in the Delhi High Court on 17 December 2020. This is not to suggest that the BJP's sort of involved in this.
J. Sai Deepak is not related to the BJP, first of all. And I don't want to get into that because J. Sai Deepak is not here to defend his name.
I understand that.
And I don't think lawyers and clients association works like that. You can't paint the lawyer by association.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that the BJP can't distance itself from this case. That's the limited point I'm trying to make.
No, not on the basis of just the link that you've drawn. I don't think that's sufficient to draw the BJP link. But I'll give Mr. Hegde 30 seconds to respond to the charge that he's otherwise making, that clearly not all is well as far as the premier agency in India to select public officials is concerned.
So Shivani, there are some brilliant officers all around the country. To put everyone in the same basket, I think is very extremely unfair by the Congress person. And he was running round and round the bush. I don't know what he was saying. He was speaking about digital India, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. We are talking here about Puja Khedkar specifically. I think we should talk about her. So I think let's stick to this. Let us see whether there have been any malpractices. We are not the people to decide here. There are agencies who are deciding it. The report will be taken. And after that, we can verify whatever she has done or not. We cannot go on mere allegations put by somebody.
Okay.
However, those allegations will have to be checked and verified, and then action can be taken.
So I want to go across to Satyam Mule also because from what we know, if you are the child of someone who's already a government official, then the 8 lakh income bracket as the creamy layer exclusion doesn't apply to you. What applies to you is the rank of your parent in public service. What do you make of this case, Mr. Mule, where she is being accused of forging documents or, somewhere something has gone wrong in assigning her the non-creamy layer distinction despite the wealth that her father has amassed or even she seems to have, according to the documents that have come to public light and via an RTI. What do you make of that? Is it based on her wealth, her parents' wealth, or as the rules say, the parents' rank in the government service?
Well, definitely what we have to scrutinize here is that she has applied to non-creamy layer. So that's a big question mark as to how does she fit herself into a non-creamy layer, that too under OBC category. No doubt, apart from this particular subject, there are other subjects about her medical fitness certificate. If she's claiming that she's visually impaired and she's also sneaked her way through that particular category. Now, having said this, I want to move a little bit forward. If there are so many allegations and if there are so many question marks, just by way of transfer, the issue doesn't get settled. Yes, there will be inquiry by UPSC, but here, the All India Services Rule of 1969, Chapter 2, empowers the state government to take disciplinary or initiate disciplinary action against any IAS officers. Here in this case, it's a probationer. And that probationary officer has to, first of all, keep in mind that she is projecting image about the entire public service or public servants in the minds of the people. When she is posted at places such as metropolis like Pune, or now going to a place such as Washim, which are facing their own problem. And if this kind of an incident comes to light, then people will definitely have huge question marks as to where is the accountability when there are no local bodies in place.
I know. I understand there's an image question as far as public officials are concerned. And I don't think this is the first case where how IAS officials behave themselves has come under scrutiny. I think many of them have been accused of high-handedness. It could be the lived experience of a lot of commoners. But that's not really the issue that I think is the main issue here. I think the main issue here is if the creamy layer distinction is being applied appropriately and whether people can easily forge or fake certificates to get some distinctions like the disability distinction in this case. I have Yashovardhan Azad with me. Mr. Azad, as far as we've understood is that the income doesn't apply to you, or in Pooja's case, because her father is also in government service. What do you make of the fact that the father seems to have a lot of wealth, Puja seems to have a lot of wealth, but somehow she's still qualified in the non-creamy layer of the OBC?
Well, that's extremely unfortunate. I totally agree with you. And this is a very, very important part. When we are talking about the non-creamy layer, then that criteria of below 8 lakh should be strictly applied. And
I am told it doesn't apply to her because she is the child of a former government officer.
Yeah, so that's extremely unfortunate. More the reason. We have been, in fact, I have been always claiming that people who have got the advantage of reservation once, it should not follow with the child because, their income, etc., everything is much beyond that layer. And secondly, even the disability part, which is there, about the aims, it's impossible how the person can get in without satisfying that criteria or conditions. What really happens is when you're a probationer, in 1 or 2 exams also, if you have not cleared in the academy, you're given, a number of years. For example, some people fail in Hindi, some people fail in horse riding. So that's all right. You can compete in 5 years. But disability is something very important, like color blindness. And the 2 centers are, Ram Manohar Lohia Hospital or Safdarjung or AIMS. So if that has not been fulfilled, then I'm sure the certain action should be taken. There are 2 parts to it. One is, as far as the misconduct is concerned, for a probationer, a simple departmental inquiry is enough to take, care of that. But the other part, the criterion, the basic criteria, or the qualifications which have not been fulfilled, then it's a serious matter and her posting should be put on hold.
Just a mere transfer is not sufficient, and I think the system is also waking up to that. On the OBC creamy layer, there's a little bit of confusion. I don't think anybody can immediately suggest whether she qualified for it or not. Certain videos are also going viral, but I think it's best that everybody holds their horses and let those who are in charge of these rules, etc., or the functioning of the UPSC decide. There's an inquiry in place. But on the disability factor, Mr. Azad, would you concur that there are lapses that are coming to light in this system called the UPSC, which is such a revered system in India, and something needs to be done? Clearly, if one person like Puja Khedkar can pull this off, there could be others.
I know a couple of cases where there have been some laxity in the case of, say, color blindness. What happens is when you go to these doctors in AIMS and Safdarjung, they are a little kind towards the probationers because, after all, if your civil service is denied because of a simple thing called color blindness, then there is an issue. But if there is a serious disability and then this is done, then it's a very, very serious matter. So I agree with you that clarification should be in the form of a proper circular where, every criteria is satisfied. But for that, you need a monitoring committee also, because this will not happen simply when you say that you go to AIMS and get a letter from some head of department. There has to be a team of people who should be doing it,
No, but I'm told the UPSC functions like that. It's not really just getting a doctor's certificate. You go in front of a panel.
No, that's exactly the point what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The issue is that you have to get it examined by the AIMS. Now, if you go to the AIMS and there's a main lead doctor who sees you, and there'll be perhaps a panel of 1 or 2 who are there, but gradually, naturally it will go by the head of the department. What I'm saying, there has to be an external monitoring committee.
So there is a possibility of corruption in the system, you're saying?
Well, there is a possibility of some laxity in the system, I would say. I won't even call it corruption. I would say some laxity. So have a doctor from AIMS, have a doctor from Safdarjung, and have a doctor from Ram Manohar Lohia, so that there is a kind of a more balanced out and less prejudiced.
Okay, I think it will be important in this case to hear from the agencies themselves of what exactly happened, because the disability part where she has refused to come for successive tests to prove her disability is cocking a snook in the face of the system. And how long can somebody be allowed a rope like that without any action, and you can actually get into probationary service and then start throwing your weight around? And actually her transfer happened because she started throwing her weight around allegedly. It didn't happen because of these lapses that have now come to light. So the question that goes is how many more people could be doing this? Mr. Mule, final word to you as well. Is this the tip of the iceberg? Does something need to be done to kind of survey the system of, where the lapses are taking place?
Well, I don't want to cast serious questions on the entire UPSC and the system, but definitely there have been some bad apples that have been coming across. We have seen in March 2020, an IAS officer had breached certain rules related with quarantine and the COVID pandemic when he traveled, breaking the rules, and he was suspended. So what I want to definitely say that, keeping aside the question of disability and non-creamy layer, I think a detailed inquiry is required, definitely. And apart from that, as a matter of disciplinary actions, we don't want to conclude, it's too early to conclude that this is the tip of the iceberg, but to restore the confidence in the minds of the public, we definitely want to see to it that she is kept on hold and not given
a different post
into Washim, and she has to be kept on hold.
Yeah,
Definitely.
certainly you can't be serving while serious allegations are against you. Police, by the way, landed up at her doorstep today to, check these cars which are violating the official norms and rules. We'll wait and see what happens as far as this case is concerned. I do thank all of our guests for joining us. Time for a very short break, but on the other side, Rahul Shivshankar joins you with the hard facts.